I gotta go back a little ways if I can to do this justice. But so it started on July 4th of last year. I was out kayak fishing in the middle of nowhere, and was bored. I checked Facebook, swap and sell, and somebody had this black walnut tree that came down. They had it sitting at the curb, and I was like, oh man, I know it's going to be gone because it's been up for 3 hours. But I was scrolling through the comments, and the lady who posted it said, does anybody know that St. Anne bowl turner who makes black walnut bowls? And she was talking about me, and then a few more comments and it's gone. And I just said, hey, thanks for thinking of me, I appreciate it. And then some other lady chimed in and said, Shane Boland, get a hold of me, which I thought was a little bizarre, but I'm like, all right. So I messaged this other lady, and she said, hey, I went and picked up that black walnut for you. I'm like, okay, what do you want? Like, what do you want for it? She said, no, it's yours. I couldn't find you either, and I had nothing going on, so I went and got it for you. Like, that is very strange, because I didn't know who this person was, but I was desperate for some black walnuts, so whatever. I'm happy to go meet a stranger. So she told me where to go. It was this trailer park just north of St. Anne, about 10 miles from here, or 10 minutes from here. And she didn't give me a house number. She just said the southwest corner of it. So I'm like, all right, Carly, this is where I'm going in case I get murdered. This is what you tell the police, but I got to go get this. So I go down there, and I pull up, and there's this old beat up S10 pickup truck, and these two ladies that are probably, younger one's probably in her 60s and the older one's probably in her mid 70s, and they're out like sorting through this black walnut. I'm like, okay, this is the spot. So I pull up, and there this lady she's got to be in her mid 70s, I would guess. Sweet lady named Karen, and I'm like, did you really go get all this? Because there's some pretty big pieces. I mean, it was like pretty much a whole tree. Some of the pieces were about this big around, about this long, probably weighed 60, 70 pounds. And she said, yeah, I went and got it. I said, why did you do that? She was like, I just didn't have anything else going on. And I said, you got it in that truck? Because it's a S10, it's a pretty small truck. She said, yeah, I had it in the front seat, in the back seat. It was piled up in the back as much as I could, and I brought it back, unloaded, and I went back because there's a few pieces I couldn't get, and wouldn't you know it, some greedy person took it. She was mad. So I just thought it was funny. And then her friend said, hey, I heard you were coming over here, so I brought you something in the back of my truck. I'm like, all right, this is where I'm getting murdered for sure right now. So I walk over to be polite, and she had all these bundles of old looking wood that were like, most of them cut, a couple, like 2 cuts all the way down, and they were tied together with wire, and the ends were painted. And I said, do you know what kind of wood this is? She said, I bought this house in 1968 from some carnival people. So I have no idea where it came from, because they travel all over, and she didn't know what kind of wood it was. But I've been holding on to it since 1968 for some reason. I thought, with you coming over, maybe this is why, so I brought it over. So I didn't want to be rude. I didn't really want this small, because I'm a bowl turner. I want like big wood. I don't know what kind of wood this is, and it's kind of weird, but I didn't want to be rude, so I took like half of it and brought it back. And anyway, so that wood, I'm getting off track here, but that wood ended up being this Y-E-W with super tight grain. A piece this big has like 130 growth rings. So I call it the 200-year-old yew, because it's 130 years old, plus it's been sitting in our attic for at least 70 years, and however long before that. And it is stunning, absolutely stunning wood. I had one of the pieces I have left, I have a piece of the yew in there, but the rest of it's gone that I've turned. So anyway, I just thought it was really cool that this old lady did that, and just went and got all this wood for me, and just the kindness of strangers I thought was really cool. It was the very first piece of that wood that Miss Karen got in her little S10 pickup truck. The very first piece I turned was the video that went viral. So I had to go tell her. So I went and visited with her. I was actually making her some bowls out of that black walnut, for her kids for Christmas, and we put her in her own handwriting, laser engraved on the bottom, Merry Christmas, love Mom, or whatever. So I was delivering those, and I just had to tell her about how her act of kindness helped. And I said, I got to ask you one more time, because I'm not satisfied with her answer of she just had nothing going on. Why did you get that wood that day for me? And you know what she said? I felt like God was telling me to go get that wood for you. And when God tells you to do something, you got to go do it. And I just thought that was amazing how he used her act of obedience to miraculously fill our need 6 months later or 5 months later. And we had no idea at the time that, and she didn't either. She just did what she felt like she was being called to do. So that was really kind of a pivotal, life-changing moment for us. And people ask me all the time, where do you get all the wood to do all this? And you saw in my driveway when you came up, God actually went ahead of us before Karen even to get this miracle set up for us. And back in January of that year, I turned this live edge black walnut bowl and I put it up for sale, and someone contacted me and said, I don't want to pay you, but I just had 78 black walnut trees logged on my property back in October. They just left all the tops on the ground. It's beautiful walnut. It's just going to rot. If you let me have that bowl, then you can come take whatever you want. I'm like, all right, sure, thanks, I'll do that. But I didn't really want it because I was turning bowls. I wanted large wood. I didn't really, I got a bigger lathe. I'm trying to turn big stuff, so I actually never went. But now, all of a sudden, I sold 200 of these amplifiers, and I need small logs like the tops of walnut trees, and they're all black walnut. And I had enough black walnut in my driveway to do about 20 of them. So I all of a sudden was in desperate need for exactly what he had set up for me to have a year in advance that I didn't think I even wanted. And more of it than, I probably took a quarter or a third of it. We made 10 trips down and filled up the back of the pickup. And there was so much on the ground. And I think I counted, we got about 400 logs in those trips. So maybe it was like 8 trips, because we're averaging about 50 or 60 logs a trip. And that's good for about 2,000 of those amplifiers. And since then, we went viral on Facebook and on Instagram over the last couple of months, and we've sold almost 500 of those things now, and we still have a backlog about 2 months out. I have 165 is my current order list of those things. So that's all I'm turning. And your original question, we'll finally get back to it. Why do I not have any bowls? Because when that went viral, I finally got my website back live after about a week, and someone bought everything that we had in stock. Everything that I had, just one order got wiped out. Plus he bought 2 amplifiers.
So you mentioned earlier that you're not a carpenter.
Oh yeah, woodworker? I'm terrible, absolutely terrible.
And yet you're a woodworker.
I'm a wood turner.
What's the difference?
I'm a wood turner. The woodworkers use tape measures and saws, and they have to be precise and have to have a brain. They have to be, strategic, understand directions and calculations, and this is more like kind of free flowing. I just turn wood into a different shape and just kind of follow the grain, and whatever is in each piece of wood I just kind of follow. And I mean, I don't measure these. I've made 350 of them so far in the last 5 months, and we don't measure. We just kind of eyeball it and follow the grain and try to reveal what beauty is hidden inside. Totally different. A lot of hate on Instagram, especially. TikTok's actually pretty nice, but it's enjoyable because a lot of people will hate on you, and then people will come to your defense, and the bickering and those haters really are what pushes the algorithm. So the thing, it's really funny. It's enjoyable to watch. To be fair, maybe it's just because it comes more naturally to me, but it is a lot easier for me to turn wood than it is to do any kind of, I mean, people ask me all the time, well, can you make this or make that? And I'm like, I took a commission project last year, and I swore it's the last one I'll do for woodworking. It took me longer than I'll admit, way too long, and it turned out terribly. So anyway, totally different thing.
Tell me again what salvage wood is.
Sure. Yeah. So
and what you're like, what you won't do, or what you know.
Yeah. So I don't cut down trees. I also don't buy wood from the stores. So a lot of people just buy wood. Salvaged wood is wood that has already come down in a storm, or like the example of they logged those trees. So I didn't log them. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I certainly wouldn't do it to wood turn. But the stuff that's on the ground is just going to rot. So instead of it just rotting and going, or instead of someone cutting it up and making it into firewood, I'll salvage it and turn it into some functional piece of art.